Hi, I'm Matt, here in Michigan.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. Today, Matt and I are taking a look at a film that came out a year ago, The Rhythm Section. It stars Blake Lively, Jude Law, Sterling K. Brown. It is directed by Reed Morano, who has a lot of cinematography credits to her name, but she also directed I Think We're Alone Now and 3 episodes of The Handmaid's Tale. It is based on the novel by Mark Brunell of the same name, and he also wrote the screenplay for this film.
Now, Randall and I are going to get into spoilers in this review since it came out in theaters a year ago. In the rhythm section, a woman seeks revenge against those responsible for an attack on a plane that killed her entire family. The film has a $50 million budget but was an absolute bomb at the box office, earning only $6 million. It had the worst opening week of any film with a wide release. It received poor ratings from critics and mixed reviews from audiences. So, Randall, what do you think of the rhythm section?
I faintly remember watching a film that stars Blake Lively and Jude Law, which is a nice way of saying this is the most boring revenge film I've ever watched.
I feel bad admitting to this, but I actually fell asleep during part of this movie and had to rewind and start over again. I'm sorry.
I totally
had
believe
to,
it.
but
I
yes,
totally believe it.
that actually happened during this film.
This is such a textbook way of how not to make a film. To set up the scene, you already said that her family dies on this airplane, and she finds out that it's a terrorist attack instead of an actual accident, which she apparently has wasted three of her youthful lives wasting away as a drug addict and a prostitute at this point. That's all. We don't see her connection with her family. It is a constant story of telling us instead of showing us all the time. That's this entire movie.
Yeah, we do have like one flashback, I guess, of like a family get together where they're like
Over and
taking in photos
over.
and stuff. Yep, you see that same one where she keeps thinking back on that stuff. I actually think Blake Lively does a good job in this film. I think for me the biggest problem is kind of like the writing with this film. I don't fully you know, I don't want to say buy into the full transformation that she goes from like you're saying, her being prostitute, addicted to drugs and stuff, to her being for hire killer. And it's interesting. It's not that she doesn't have training and stuff, that the movie doesn't set her up for that. I just don't completely buy in that she has all the instincts and everything to actually carry all these out.
So you're right about the actors. So the thing is, Blake Lively does a really respectable job in this film, and Jude Law does a really good job in this film. Sterling K. Brown does a good job in this film. It's just that they don't have that much to do script wise. It's the story's not a whole bunch of meat on it. I mean, so Jude Law's character in this, just basically called B, he trains, air quotes, Blake Lively's character for 3 months and then sends her out in the field.
She can shoot now, Randall. She can
She
shoot.
can shoot now.
She's ready to go.
I can't. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm sorry. You don't go from being a drug riddled, prostitute in London to someone who's going to go out in the field and do this kind of work. I could maybe get it if it was like 2 years, 3 years later, but now we're 6 years removed from the actual accident, and you'd think she'd be getting over it a little bit. Beyond all of that, which is already hard for me to take, I don't understand why her. So she's kind of found out by this reporter who is a nobody character who's subsequently killed off like 15 seconds later. And he's like, "Oh, this was an accident, and here's all my proof that or sorry, not an accident. This is not an accident, and here's all my proof that this plane was taken down by a terrorist to get to this guy." And I'm like, "Why her? Why are you telling her? Why aren't you telling any other person who had family on the plane?" They never explain why this character?
It's interesting because they wants to ask her like questions and stuff, and I don't know if he's just trying to do like a bigger story and stuff. Because she even said that like I'm not interested in being, your humanizing piece. You're for your story focus. I'm not interested in being like the human element or whatever in this piece kind of thing. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if he just feels sorry for her, like the circumstances, knowing that basically she had this really promising life before this mad event happened, and because of it her life has completely spiraled into depression and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of interesting, like, why her kind of thing. And I mean, Jude Law, they're kind of saying, well, the reason that Jude Law is doing it is because he basically sees her as, someone who has, she comes out and says, I have nothing to lose now, kind of thing. There's nothing, I can do, whatever. So Jude Law is kind of using her to get at these people because of who she is.
Yeah, but like Jude Law's character makes sense to me. His backstory is explained as, he killed someone that he wasn't supposed to kill because that person was supposed to kill the person that Blake Lively's trying to kill. Everyone follow that? Okay, so that's basically the entire plot of this film. But but as a former MI6 agent who did an oopsie, and he wants to kind of like undo that oopsie, his backstory makes perfect sense. Jude Law's character is just using her as a means to an end. That makes perfect sense. That doesn't bother me. It's Blake Lively's character that bothers me. I never fully believe that she could do the things that she is doing, regardless of how well it's acted.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me too. I think it's acted real well, but really the story leading up to it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Kind of interested too. There's one big, I guess not really a speech, but a talk that Jude Law has with Blake Lively's character, where he basically says, I can train you, I can teach you how to do all these things. Even if you're successful in learning and get to the end, and do everything that you're being trained to do, it won't be worth it in the end. And that's supposedly kind of foreshadowed as like kind of lesson for Blake Lively, but it doesn't really turn into that. It really tells us more about Jude Law's character when later in the film Blake Lively kind of presses him on why he said that kind of thing, and she kind of uses that to find more information about that. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Like Blake Lively's our main character, but our like arcs and stuff or whatever, or our lessons or whatever, don't really focus around her.
Then you have Sterling K. Brown playing kind of a double character. He's pretending to be one person, but he's actually another person. But for most of the film, you're kind of on with it. You have a really stupid and awkward love/sex scene with him and Blake Lively, which adds absolutely nothing to the plot at all. It's so stupid.
I guess they're just trying to show that she trusts him or something. I mean, I guess I kind of see she's like, other
she can
than
get close to him.
Yeah, she can get close to him. Other than the journalist, I guess he's the only person that's actually treated her as like as a person and not as like a means to something. Because that's the thing, Jude Law is using her as a means to something, and that's the thing too. When her, she was under the house of like pimps and stuff, they were just using her kind of thing. So I guess I could kind of see that. I mean, he's an attractive guy and stuff, and is actually well, but I think really it's just trying to hide the supposed twist reveal or whatever at the end. They're trying to get you to really like buy into, oh, I never would suspect this guy's the villain all along.
But see, that's the thing, and this is what I wrote down as my last note was, as the audience, we don't get to see all of the puzzle pieces come together to fulfill the ending. We're just supposed to take it on faith that Blake Lively's character got it right. That she is not wrong about the character that Sterling is playing, And I'm like, okay, I understand the person who wrote the book is also the screenwriter for this for this film. So in essence, he's probably not lying to us, She probably did get it right. But if I'm just looking at it from a movie perspective, I think to myself, you did not give me enough evidence to justify that you are actually correct in your assumption.
I love the explanation is basically like, well, you told me that the bomb maker was actually the big guy, and I know he's no big mastermind, so that means it must have been you.
It must be
You
you,
must
yeah.
be the bad guy.
You're playing me off on everybody else, having me kill all these people who are in connection with you. I'm like, he could also just be protecting himself and still not be the mastermind. This is a thing that could happen.
I mean, honestly, if you want to make it like a personal piece or whatever, it could more be that Blake Lively's character doesn't trust anyone and is just gonna go against anyone because everyone's using her, kind of thing. I mean, I guess that could be an overarching piece if you want to look into that, but I don't think that's really what this movie sets up.
I don't know if this movie sets up that much. So you get to the very, very end after she's done all of that, and Jude Law's now been redeemed, and he's allowed back into MI6, and he finds her on the street, and he's like, I hope I never see you again, and she's like, oh, do you? And she walks away smugly, and I'm like, that does not make sense.
I don't know if it's basically kind of like, all right, she's now embraced this role kind of thing that they hinted at a little bit earlier in the film, that now that, they've made this persona for her, that she's, fully embracing this persona. She basically didn't have a life, and I guess this gives her a life now.
He literally tells her, no, Petra has to die now. Like, that's her alter ego. Like, this Petra person that we made into your alter ego has to go away now. And she's like, yeah, I know. I'm Kate, or whatever her name is. Stephanie, that's it. I'm like, okay, so is she lying to him? Is he just going to let her walk away? None of this makes any sense in the context of, like, him being an MI6 agent and his backstory, and he's just going to let her do this. Like, how about a buddy team-up thing, You know what? Turns out that you're pretty good at this. Why don't you come work for me at MI6? Nope, none of that.
Some of the things I guess I do like about this movie, the action scenes are pretty good. I mean, she doesn't always kill the bad guys, or doesn't always mean to kill the bad guys in the way that she ends up killing them. But for the most part, I think some of the car scenes are pretty good. They actually do have some suspense elements to it. But yeah, overall, I think the story lets me down a little bit, even though the performances are really good. Is this the worst movie ever that I think is like wide release bomb? I don't know if it's that, but it isn't all that great either.
It's not that good, but I will grant you, the director of this, like I said, she has lots of cinematography credits, and it is actually very well filmed. I found, a lot of the shots and the way that things were set up works well for what they're trying to do, to set the environment, to put people and make them seem like they're close together in claustrophobic situations, or really wide out in wide open situations. That's very well done. So from a shooting perspective, from an acting perspective, the film is actually pretty good. But man, oh man, does this story and plot just leave everything else barren.
Randall and I want to know what you guys think of the rhythm section. Let us know in the comments below. If you like our review, be sure to give us a thumbs up. Also hit subscribe and ring that bell to get notified about our latest videos. We release new videos every Monday and Thursday. And also be sure to check out our Facebook page. We will post a day before our videos come out to let you know the topic of the next video. For now, I'm Matt here in Michigan. Have a good day.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. See everyone in the next one.
Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.